After a 10-month hiatus, for obvious reasons, we finally had an IFSC World Cup, and it took place in the beautiful French mountain town of Briançon. In the men's semi-final, France's youngsters really shone, none more so than Mejdi Schlack, who took 5th place ahead of the finals, having almost made his way onto the head wall of the semi-final route. Slovenia's Domen Skofic is a previous Briançon winner, and he looked very much a contender in this year's semi-finals, making his way onto the head wall and falling with less than 10 moves left on the route. His performance netted him 4th in the semis and suggested that he would be a serious contender for a medal in the final. Fresh from climbing the world's second 9C sport climb on the nearby cliff of Seuz, even Alex Megos himself wasn't sure how his current rock climbing fitness would translate to competition form. Pretty well would appear to be the answer. He climbed excellently in the Briançon qualifiers and backed that up by taking 3rd in the semi-final. Jakob Schubert never appears to be off form. He won 3 of the 4 events in the recent Austria Climbing Summer Series, and, if anything, looked even stronger here in Briançon than he did in his home events. He couldn't quite find a top of the semi-final route, but he was only a few moves away and ended up 2nd.
I'm really happy with my climbing today, not just the fitness, but also almost no mistakes, so I hope I can climb just as well tomorrow.
Matching Jakob move for move, but finishing ahead of him on countback to the qualifying round, was Adam Ondra. The Czech superstar has, even by his standards, trained exceptionally hard since coronavirus came to dominate the news headlines, and that hard work paid off.
So there was the toe hook, which I thought was an obvious beta. Apparently I was the only one to use the toe hook, which is something that I'm quite proud of. Yet I was accused that while toe hooking the box, my sole of the shoe was touching the ball hanger. So we are making appeal, and let's see how it happens. I will be in the finals anyway, which is good, but will be definitely better to have a better score for the finals in case of ties.
He looked the best climber in qualifying and backed that up by finishing 1st in the semi-final. The women's field was strong in Briançon too, despite the lack of Asian or North American climbers. Team Slovenia had a particularly good day in the French Alps, with 4 women qualifying for the final, including Tjaša Kalan, who took 5th place, falling on the 26+ move, which stopped no less than 7 women. Matching Tjaša's score, but moving ahead on countback to the qualifying round, was Vita Lucan, who was making her comeback from a severe knee injury. That layoff and the intense training which followed seemed to have done her no harm, and many neutrals were delighted to see her finish the semi-final in 4th after such an injury-ravaged last 12 months. Just ahead of Vita was her compatriot Janja Garnbret, who is accustomed to winning every round she competes in, but had to settle for 3rd in the Briançon semi-final.
It felt so good to be back, like to be in that competition mode, to have the public behind you, and it was weird because you're kind of not used to it anymore, but it was so cool to have the support from the crowd. I read the route wrong, I would say, but otherwise it was such a cool route, and I think the difficulty should be like that all the time.
In 2nd was Nina Artaud of France, who latched 1 more hold than Janja, Vita, Tjaša, and therefore put herself in prime position for a shot at the Briançon win. She looked composed all the way up the route, and although she couldn't get onto the head wall, it was an excellent evening's work for the young French climber. 2019 Boulder and Lead Youth World Champion Laura Rigora looked immense in the qualifying round and pushed even further come semi-final time, getting 6 moves further than anyone else to claim a dominant first place. Laura has never won a World Cup and will never have a better shot at claiming that maiden win than the Briançon final.